recording. Thank you, Craig, for joining yet again. You're double time. I'm going to move my fan right here so you can't hear it.
Tired.
Shut up, bitch. Why don't you go grill more?
Oh, I mean, if it was light out, I would.
Get a flashlight.
I mean, we have floodlights out there, but I don't want to grill right
Have to get some. You got a lot of mosquitoes up there.
We don't live really close to water, so not really.
What about you got? But all bugs are going to be attracted to lights.
We have we like gnats. Like we don't have that many gnats either.
Mm.
The worst thing we have are red lantern flies.
Did they only go towards red lanterns?
No, those things are like a fucking plague everywhere. You just see them taking on everyone's house when they actually just rise up out of the ground like locusts. No, I'm serious. Fucking bitches just come out of nowhere.
You've heard it here. In the state of Kiwi where she lives, the next locust swarm is happening. Egypt, watch out.
Take some people out.
True. Anyways, welcome back to the Believe Me Don't podcast, where we take off multiple weeks because we can.
It's Patchy's fault.
We have major sponsors that keep us afloat, like Raid Shadow Legends.
I don't even know if Raid Shadow Legends is even doing well anymore.
That's all I see in my Twitter feed most of the time.
It's because you keep tweeting Raid Shadow Legends, you dumbass.
I'm just trying to whales that'll keep going. So
I'm just trying to get one sponsored, guys. I don't even care if it's like the most weebiest thing ever. I would just anything. Because I'll just give it a Kiwi and he'll keep us afloat with the sponsor if it's like a weeb game.
Well, thanks. That's how I'm defined. I play the weeb games, the weeb mobile games.
It's good to be back, though. It's good to be back. So tonight, I am joined by Jordan again and Kiwi. How are we doing, guys?
Bitch, I already told you I was tired.
Bitch, that's okay. Sure. You're tired too, Jordan?
Yes, also tired.
I understand. Well,
also annoyed with Night Rain at the moment.
What's it doing?
Keeps crashing. I tried a couple more things to fix it. I'm hoping it'll fix it. But I just finished the session without crashing. I was trying to do Wilder's quest, and I was literally about to step into the fucking area to go get the thing I needed, and it crashed. And unfortunately, when it crashes solo, your session doesn't get restored. So you have to start all over again.
Damn.
And
that is so strange.
The thing for his quest is in, like, one of the higher level zones. So it's just...
You can do it in a party, anyways.
I mean, I got it done. I'm all done with his story now. I'm gonna do either Guardians or Raiders next.
Yeah.
Other than that, though, don't get me wrong, I love the game, but I just wish it would stop fucking crashing. I'm hoping the things that I did will fix it. The only thing I haven't done is revert to old drivers, because I hate reverting to old drivers, but that'll be like absolute last resort if I have to do that.
Yeah. But tonight, we're here to talk about a glorious game. I've already done my thoughts on Clair Obscur, but I was able to not rope Jordan in because I think he had the intentions to play it regardless, but I was at least able to rope in Kiwi to play this game, which means something because this bitch doesn't play anything else. So that's how you know this game is goated, because he was able to make it through.
I mean, he plays PoE.
I mean, true, but that clearly is nothing.
That's about it.
Let's not compare that. I play a lot of like action RPGs, just not I don't know about action RPGs. I play a lot of man. I don't know. I don't got anything for you. I exist. Thank you.
Exactly. Yep. Yes, we're here to talk about Clair Obscur Expedition 33. So, like I said, I've already done an episode. Spoilers, not that anyone's ever going to listen to this, so just go ahead and put that out there. Background on it, it came out April 24th on everything. Xbox, PS5, wasn't on It is on Game Pass, right? Yeah, that's where
Yeah.
you play it from. Yeah, okay,
Yeah,
which
it's
is
on Game
awesome.
Pass.
I think PlayStation is obviously been gatekeeping a lot of the great RPGs. So for this to come out on Game Pass really opened it up for Xbox users. And I know I feel like it's always been something that a stereotype in a sense that Xbox players don't really play RPGs in a sense. So I'm glad that this came out for them, and it shows. But this game has been getting nothing but praise, and it absolutely deserves it. So I'm
I
gonna,
think the last RPG that Xbox got was Lost Odyssey on the 360, which is funny considering that this game is. I've never played Lost Odyssey, but I've seen gameplay of it and watched like discussion videos on it, and it's very obvious that they took quite a bit of inspiration from Lost Odyssey. So
yeah. Well, I mean, also the Final Fantasy 13 series was the last Final Fantasy or
yeah,
the
but
first time it was on Xbox.
I guess, but we don't talk about 13.
Well, yeah, we don't talk about it, but I guess that was their attempt to kind of reach out other than PlayStation. They haven't had any exclusives with PlayStation, right? They've just released it besides Final Fantasy VII Remake and shit. Not that I know of. I could be wrong.
That's what had exclusives.
The PlayStation. Like, has it always been Final Fantasy? Like, has Final Fantasy always had PlayStation?
I believe Final Fantasy is always released on PlayStation consoles, yes.
Mm.
Well, no, that's not true. Because some of the original ones came out on Nintendo. So, but from like 7 onwards, like 7 was PlayStation, 8 was PlayStation, 9 PlayStation, 10 PlayStation, 11 was an MMO, 12.
I think
12. What did 12 come out on? Final Fantasy 12.
I think 13 was both of them. I'm pretty sure 13 was both of them.
Yeah, I think it was both of them, but I think it was like the first time that it had released on Xbox, like together or something.
Final Fantasy 12 was PS2, and I do believe 13 came out on Xbox as well as PlayStation, and then 14 was obviously an MMO, and then I think 15 dropped on Xbox as well as PlayStation. And then 16 was exclusive to PlayStation, but is now available on both a PC and Xbox, as far as I know.
Yeah.
And then I think Square Enix finally learned their lesson with 16 because its sales weren't great until it actually dropped on other fucking platforms, and they won't be doing exclusives anymore.
Yeah, I mean that's they absolutely need to do that for their company, but also for other platforms. Like Xbox deserves to play Final Fantasy games, so PlayStation needs to quit gatekeeping at least the Final Fantasy series. So, anyways, Clair Obscur Expedition 33 currently sits at a 93 on Metacritic. I think that's actually up from the last time I looked at it. I think it was down to a 92 and it's back up to a 93, which is amazing. But the biggest thing is its user score is 9.7, which is amazing. I think that's still considered one of the highest.
Is it the highest rated game on Metacritic right now? Like out of everything? I guess I can look.
I don't know how to look in terms of user score. It's not in terms of the meta score.
Browse all games. User score. Can I sort this by? I don't know if there's a way to sort it by to highest, because the scores are kind of like all over the place. So I would assume it's at least it's in the highest ranked out of everything, because it's up there with like Baldur's Gate 3 and Elden Ring and so on and so forth. So
yeah, But I mean, either way, and it's almost got 15,000 user ratings for the user score, and to have 9.7 is phenomenal. And I think there was a lot of questions going into this game, whether the combat was going to be good, but I also don't think people were ready for the story, to what it did, how it goes about it, and everything like that. The combat was always the biggest question because it's turn based, and we just haven't had a lot of turn based games besides like, I mean, obviously last year we had Metaphor, but it's coming back, and I can give
we've had
nothing.
Persona games.
No one cares about Persona.
Ever. These
So
get shit out of here with these
I should've
turn-based games. All that
anything
shit
but
exists.
the anime shit.
Oh
But
my god!
well,
It's
here's the thing.
Is why it's good.
Here's the thing about Persona. Like I will offer Persona the respect it deserves because it has kept turn-based alive. Without Persona, I don't really know if Clair Obscur would exist. The only problem that Persona has is like it's got like anime stuff is a turnoff to a lot of people just immediately. Because some people they it's one of two things with Persona. They either don't care for anime or they don't care for like the game setting because it's typically set in like college stuff or high school or shit like that.
But the problem is it's usually always in Japan.
Yeah,
they can't make any game about not Japan.
So. Like Metaphor ReFantasia was like their game to really step away from, like, it's still anime. Don't get me wrong, it's still anime, but they completely stepped away from like their typical Persona settings of like, you know, set in like some normal city or whatever. So now, don't get me wrong, I have no problems with Persona personally, and again, I have to offer it its respect because Clair Obscur most certainly took inspiration from it. You can see it in their menus, which is one thing. That's like one of the things that Persona is like really, really known for, is like how absolutely wonderful their battle user interface is. It's very flashy, it's very fluid. Like you can, like, once you like master the game, you could like snap to the menus really quickly. Like it feels really good. And they most certainly took inspiration for that because I do the same thing in Clair Obscur, you know.
Well, if you trash talk Persona, I was gonna come kick Fig's ass.
No, I wouldn't trash talk Persona. I haven't played all the games. I've watched a friend play Persona 3, which I really enjoyed, even though the ending made me really sad. And Persona 5, which is also really good. I'm sure the other ones are good too.
Oh,
I haven't seen 4 at all. But yeah, I just think like people really wanted like that. They wanted something on like that grand spectacle, like mystical world for a turn-based game similar to Final Fantasy X, which is set in like some weird fucking like completely off the walls land with all kinds of weird monsters and shit. That is what people wanted for a turn-based game. So
I agree. They want actual fantasy, not okay. Yes. Well, you're like part fantasy. You're fantasy like in a lot of these turn-based games, and I get now if you make the art style of a turn-based game either too anime or too real, to me it's bad. Just because, well, I mean, like I like anime, but I mean, like in the general consensus of a person playing them, like. Most games that go too realistic, it just looks weird. Like what they're doing looks out of place. I don't know.
No, I see what you're saying. There's like I think that's why a lot of people don't really care for 15 very much, because it like there's fantasy stuff in it. Like it still has like Ifrit and Titan and like, you know, like the summons and, you know, it still has like Final Fantasy stuff in it, but you could kind of like draw, you know, from the real world to 15. Like if you looked at like a picture of like an environment of Final Fantasy 15, you might just think it's the desert somewhere in California or something, you know, like depending on where you look at, obviously. So now, if you were to look at a picture from a place in Clair Obscur, you'd be like, "What the fuck am I looking at?" Like, it's really fantastical and cool. So I think that's what you're getting at. It's like if it goes too far one way or too far the other, then it could kind of like things can get lost in translation a little bit. So
True. Well, before we get into all the things we either like or don't or whatever, the game's phenomenal. Go out and play it, please. Score wise, what are you giving it out of a 10?
oh, it's an easy 10 for me. I have gripes about it, but the tiny gripes I have absolutely pale in comparison to everything the game gets right. So, but
100%.
I'll go over them whenever we bring it up. But yeah, easy fucking 10 for me, and most certainly my game of the year. Nothing else will even come close. The only other game that I could see like going toe to toe with it maybe is Ghost of Yotei, and I think Ghost of Yotei is going to be really damn good. But Ghost of Yotei is just more Ghost of Tsushima, which there's nothing wrong with that. But it like the thing with Clair Obscur that makes it so wonderful to me is that it's taken turn based to the next step that Final Fantasy should have done ages ago. Like that's when you move a genre forward, that is what's really important to me because now they've laid the foundation for other studios to put out stuff. Like a fine example of this, while we're not in the same genre, is Resident Evil 4. You know, think of how many games have spawned like over the shoulder, like action horror-esque, like either action or horror, depending on what genre you're looking at. Like, think of how many games Resident Evil 4 has spawned. Like Gears of War and Dead Space, just to name two, right? Like,
right.
those two absolutely wonderful franchises besides Dead Space 3. Won't talk about that one. But, like, when you take a genre and you just, like, add so much to it that now you've laid like the groundwork for more studios to come forward to do even more crazy shit and like continue that ladder basically. That is what sets this game apart for me from other ones this year personally.
100%. I do think, as much as Kiwi's going to hate on it, I do think Death Stranding 2 is going to be at least in the conversation. But yeah, Ghost for sure. I would have, at the very beginning of the year, I would have said Monster Hunter, and I'm not gonna bash Monster Hunter. It is more Monster Hunter, and it's a better Monster Hunter, but it's not setting. I'm sure the sales numbers will disagree that they're much larger, but they draw from a bigger crowd, but it didn't set the gaming world kind of on fire as much as Clair Obscur has done so far.
No, Monster Hunter Wilds is great, but it's just more Monster Hunter. Like they have their formula, and they just kind of add more to it and build onto it little by little as their games come out, and it works for them because they sell great. So, and there's nothing wrong with that at all. So.
Yeah. And I mean, I think if you definitely don't have a Clair Obscur in this year, then Monster Hunter would be easily up there with, this. And it just, like you're saying, moving forward too, I think, like last year, personally, I would have said Astrobot would have won it. However, I understand where it came from and the audience it reached and the love that went into that game of why it got it. Obviously, It would have been Rebirth for me, but that's just from what I still love Astrobot. I can't believe that they're coming out with 5 more levels. I 100% am going to play that when it comes out. But that was just a different thing. So, for Clair Obscur, because I love the RPG genre and I love the Legend of Dragoon. That will always be one of my goats. And for them to draw inspiration from the combat, it sets it and because of how good the parrying and everything, and we'll talk about that in a minute, but it's so many, it's so good on so many levels, and it just outweighs the little nitpicks that I would have with this game. So, Kiwi, number?
I mean, I'll give it a 10 out of 10, but if I'm being petty,
You
I'd give
could
it a
see,
I'd give it a
I'm
9.5 out of 10.
That's fine. Because, yeah, watching you versus Jordan, I definitely saw both of y'all. I think y'all's biggest struggle, not struggles, but when you were getting frustrated was the combat. And it wasn't that there was anything necessarily wrong with the combat. It was, I need to get good.
Game's fucking hard, dude. Game's a son of a bitch on expert difficulty. Holy moly.
The only gripe I got with expert difficulty is some of those abilities, it's like, okay, your last ability or your last swing of an ability, why are you hitting 4 or 6 times harder than your other swings? Like, like it's the same swing. It's not like you're doing anything different. You're just hitting harder for some reason. It's like a combo finisher, but you don't know it's a combo finisher because it's still the same goddamn speed and swing. So it's like, oh, fuck me.
It's like, are you done swinging yet? Are you done? Can I breathe?
Then it's like,
all right, I'm gonna breathe.
They swing real fast.
And then they
like,
swing again.
Bitch.
It's like, I just want to throw the controller out of the window, dude. Like, fucking piece of shit.
I think they also drew some inspiration from Souls games. At least
Almost.
Elden Ring or something with the
Almost
freaking delay.
definitely. Yes.
I'm sure there's other games, but for me, from what I'm seeing, it's 100% like Elden Ring or Dark Souls with this delayed shit.
Well, one of the devs is a Sekiro speedrunner. I found that out not too long ago.
That's amazing. So,
it honestly explains the fucking parrying. It's like, oh, you know what? I like parrying.
Yes, okay. We'll start with the parrying, but before we do that, now I'll talk about the Legend of Dragoon, and this is a combat situation. Do you think if they come out with a sequel or another game, and, well, I won't say that. Would you have preferred, say, so in Legend of Dragoon, you have the exact same thing. You're timing the button. It's not a square. Basically, it's a square that's like zooming in, and you try to mash it correctly. So you move on to the next ability. So like in Clair Obscur, you hit it perfect one time. They're going to sit there and do their move over and over and over, depending on how many it says that they're going to do. Yeah. But in Legend of Dragoon, you have additions, and each one you have to hit it every single time for every single swing. So my question would be, do you think it would have been a little bit better if they added complexity like that? Or do you prefer it like this where you hit it perfect? Because it's a lot faster than what Legend of Dragoon was. And it does all its moves. You still haven't, I think the max you have to do is 2. I don't think there's a third one. Or is there a third one on some of the abilities with like Verso?
Oh yeah, some of them go up. Yeah, some of them go up to 3. Yeah, some go up to 3.
But do you think that would have been a cooler aspect, or maybe in a future game of theirs?
I think they should do it in a future game. I think doing it in this one might have alienated people just a little bit. It wouldn't have like destroyed the game like for me, because I like getting my ass kicked. Like that's what's fun for me in video games. But there are some people who just want to play just to play like the story or whatever, and that's totally fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But I think if you had to the point where like let's say for Verso's like Berserk Slash, right, the thing where it does more damage depending on what his HP's at. Like the lower his HP, the more damage it does. I think it's like as soon as you start, you hit X once, then you have to wait a couple seconds and hit X again. If let's say they just randomized it and it was like B, A, Y, or it even could have been like one of the bumpers or whatever. I think, and if you failed it, then like he wouldn't do like an extra swing. I think that probably would have just like ticked off people a little bit more, because the parrying and dodging is hard enough, right? In my opinion, at least. Like there were some mobs and some bosses that it was like I could parry and dodge easily, and then some of them were just like, what the fuck? Like, I can't read this worth of shit. So I think if you had that element on top of like random buttons to hit to execute the abilities, I think it might have been just like teetered over the edge of like a little too much, not like catapulted over the line. However, I think if they were to do this now in either DLC or future titles or whatever, like whether if they don't do like Clair Obscur for their next game, but if they do another turn-based, whatever, doesn't matter. Then I think now the player base has been well established, and now they have a better idea of what to expect for the game to move forward. So I think doing it in a future title would be totally fine, in my opinion.
I think, yeah, I mean, I would have preferred it'd be different. I like doing the same thing over and over. It's fine and all, but like, you got to put more emphasis on actually getting it in between the lines, because a lot of those abilities, even if you hit them perfectly, they didn't do shit. Like, it didn't change anything for me. Like,
I think all it really is for most of them is just like a 5% damage increase or something. Is all it really felt like.
You gotta make those abilities it actually matter that you want to hit it. Where like I know some of them, like if you mess it up, it stops or it stuns you or does something. Like that's okay. Like if you fail, like maybe not that harsh, but there's no benefit to actually perfect or hitting perfects in my opinion. But in regards to should they like put more to it? I mean, I think they should. I think you tie it to difficulty though. And even then, if you can, or you make it so it's just you can toggle it on or off. But I think it makes people pay attention, but it can't feel like it's a chore.
Yeah.
Because if everything becomes a chore, then it's like, well, I hate this. But if you can turn it off, then it's just like, okay, well, I didn't like this, so I'll go this way.
Yeah. No. I think this was definitely the right move. I guess for me, maybe not the randomizing of the button. That would make it very difficult moving forward if they chose to do that. I think that would be cool. But what if they only applied it to, because most of the builds that I ended up doing, because in this game you can shoot at any given point or whatever, depending on how many bars you have. Or most of the time you were doing an ability. So you didn't really just do the normal attack. And the Picto system, you can add more swings to their normal attack, but you still weren't doing a lot of that. So maybe a little bit more complexity to that as well could be cool in a sense.
Yeah, I can agree with that. I mean, there were some auto attack builds. Like I had one on Versa where I would stack burn with his auto attacks.
Oh, yeah.
And that was like all I would do is just like dump all of my AP on free aim shots, and then I would just auto attack. And I would at one point on the super boss I had like 600 burns, so it could rack up.
His bitch ass did it.
No, he didn't give a shit. He could but you could rack up burns pretty fast like an auto attack build.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that there's definitely room for them to go like above and beyond with like the customization when it comes to like Pictos and the Luminas. I think they did enough to keep it interesting and have plenty of like build diversity, but I think that they probably did like pull it back just a little bit sometimes. Like I'm sure there were some of those devs that wanted to do crazy ass shit, and they're like, "All right, hold on, no, this is our first game. Like, we don't want to shit all over fucking casuals or whatever, and alienate people." So, but like Kiwi brings up a good point where it's like if you did have commands where it's like, okay, you need to hit like A, B, X, Y for an ability or something, and it could be in any random order. Well, if you don't like it, then you just turn it off. I think having like a toggleable thing for it, or like having it scale off of difficulty. Like if you play on normal, none of the buttons are random. If you play on hard, then it adds in 2 more buttons. And then if you play on the highest difficulty, then all of the buttons can be hit. Something like that.
I guess you could tune
Yep.
it around it too, because like if say you hit perfects and they did 5% more damage, well, on harder difficulties, if you have that, you do more damage, or you do something special, you get like additional AP if you get them right, or like some shit like that.
Or it does like double burn hits, or just has more bonuses to it besides just more damage. Would be nice as well.
Yeah. No, I think there's definitely a lot that they can where they can go for at least the combat and stuff. So hopefully their next game they can do something like that. And so speaking of the Picto system and the Lumina system, how do we feel about that? Did you
Awesome.
find it overcomplicated at the beginning?
No, not really. I found it like it's just like, okay, I like this Picto. I'm gonna slap it on, and I need to just go win 4 fights, and then I can give it to everybody. That's
It's kind of like
that's
the Final Fantasy VII type material thing.
material, or the thing
Great.
from 9 or whatever. It's like it's similar to that.
Yeah.
So it made sense to me, and getting Pictos unlocked for everybody isn't really a big deal, because like even in the end game where you had like a shitload of them, all I would do is just like slap like all the Pictos on all my characters, and you can unlock literally, what is it, 9 at a time? Yeah. So it really wasn't. It really wasn't bad at all, because you could just go fight like low level shit and just one tap it, and it wasn't a problem. So.
Right. I do think there should have been a little bit better sorting for some of them, like support ones or stuff like that.
Their menuing could use a lot of work.
Yeah,
they literally just needed like ones to be all next to each other, but they should have just put it in rows of like, hey, this is like, and you just sort of go over and you look at them. Because every time it's like, holy shit, where is this one? Spends 5 minutes looking for it. All right, now I gotta find it again for the other 2 characters.
It should have just been in like batches, basically, like free A ones, they're all here. Burn ones, they're all here. Ones that generate you more AP, they're all here. That would have been much better. Like they had like some sorting things, but like in the beginning it was fine, but toward the end of the game, and especially in New Game Plus, like holy fucking moly, dude, it got real annoying trying to find shit sometimes. So
yeah. I think another sorting function would have been if you were trying to get some extra, like learn some of them, like unlearned ones would have been a good option too. I think, just so you can slap them on. They all either go to the top or bottom, and you go slap them on right quick. But yeah, I'm sure that was probably some of the biggest things people had complaints about was their menu system, and that I'm sure will get easier. In terms of selecting the party member, it's easy, and you can do it anytime. I do love that you could, if your main party died, whether you had 1 out there or 3, your backup, once you had all the characters, whatever, then you could have a backup team. That's awesome to me. I'm not sure why they chose to only have 5 and not make it 3 and 3, but that would have been a lot of characters, and
I think maybe they wanted to, but maybe they made their 5 solid characters and they didn't really think that they could do much more with what they had.
Yeah.
So, and they didn't want to just throw in a 6 character for the sake of having a 6 one, and it could have been like underbaked and just or not fun, and then nobody would have used the character anyway.
Sure.
It's probably like character, what's their identity kind of thing, but it probably also mainly was the story that they didn't want to keep trying to push on the story, and just it's growing more and more, and they just it's probably like a budget constraint in my eyes.
Yeah. Okay. Well, who was our favorite character? Who was our favorite party character?
Whoa, bro, give me my boy back.
You can have him after you beat the game 33 times.
No, it's not the same. No, you don't get him.
You do. You get him permanently. If
I
you
don't
beat
want
the
to go.
game
You go
33
okay.
times.
You go beat the game 33 times and
I
tell
didn't
me if
think
you
I'm
get
going to
it.
do that, but
Yeah,
I would just use a fucking cheat engine or a mod or something to get a save file because it's stupid. I think like Verso is honestly the most fun because like I experimented with him really more than anybody. Like, most of the time it was all low HP builds, which are obviously like the most intense because like one fuck up and that's it. You get a. Eventually, I had some pictos to help mitigate it, like where he would. You could survive a death blow once, and then he would revive once, and then I would get him shields, and then eventually it didn't become too bad. But Verso is probably the most fun. CL was really interesting to me when I first unlocked her. Unfortunately, I found out I was playing her wrong the whole fucking time because I didn't understand that the Twilight thing would be stronger if you had more sun charges. All I thought for her was just like, oh, you do a sun ability, a moon ability, then she goes into Twilight. She just does more damage. I didn't realize that, oh no, if you actually get like 5 or 6 sun charges and then go into Twilight, then she gets like 200% more damage. So I didn't figure that out until like New Game Plus, unfortunately. After that, she became really fun. So I really like Verso and CL a lot. Lune, I had to look up a build for her. I feel bad about it. I'm too stupid to figure out her character. But the build that I used was really fun. Minoko, for the most part, I had him kind of figured out on my own. And he was just great. Like anytime I got new shit for him, especially from some of the monsters in the late game, and then when you get his weapon that starts him in Almighty Mask, I mean he can become a fucking powerhouse. And Mael is rough for me, like because while she is fun and like she can make like fun burn builds, there's always that looming thought in the back of my mind that she's the most broken fucking character in the game because of the stupid ass Stendhal ability and her Gamage gradient attack. Like she does so much fucking damage with those abilities. It's ridiculous. I can talk more about that in a moment. But Mael is cool, but like after I figured out how fucking OP she was, I didn't really want to use her that much because she would have trivialized the game for me. So probably Verso and CL for me are probably my 2 personal favorites.
Yeah, well, you didn't even see her before the nerf, so
It's still fucking ridiculous. That hall can hit for fucking like hundreds of millions. So
I one-shot Simon on normal.
fucking bitch. Didn't even do the goddamn fight properly.
I don't even do.
Motherfucker
really
kicked my
cool.
ass for like 4 hours, man.
It's really cool to hear that music for like 5 seconds.
And everyone's talking about this impossible boss, and you're like, see ya. Goodbye.
It was stupid. Kiwi?
I don't know. I actually liked all the characters. I didn't look up shit for builds. I just sort of like throw my face at it, and I still haven't done any other content or anything aside from the story because I'm too lazy. But I don't. Some of the abilities I feel like they just don't work that well. Like it's sort of like having a basic ability and then it doesn't really do anything later on. And I know for one, Miles' first gradient attack, why have a gradient attack that hits for nothing and doesn't do anything special? I get it's a one charge, but I don't know. It's just me being nitpicky about it, but it just pissed me off when I used it the first time. I'm like, wow, this did literally nothing, even if you're in your virtuous stance.
The only thing that ability is really used for is to get you into virtuous stance if you don't have anything else to put you in it. That's really the only purpose it serves. So
my favorite character to use was probably Minoko, even though, like I said, I don't know shit for builds. But like, yeah, when you get the later abilities, I think I had Burning Waltz, which was like 8 or 9 cost AP, and that thing just hit like a freight train.
Yeah,
I feel like they should add more like other dot based stuff. aside from just burn if they ever make a game again, or what in the next game, because it's sort of boring just to have burn. Like, why is there not like other dots you can do? Like, I'm surprised you couldn't do like a dark dot in a way, but I don't know. There's a lot of stuff they could do. I like Verso. Minus, I feel like my Verso always just ate dirt half the time. So
the enemies just like to target him, dude.
Like he's like, you're in A rank, about to go to S rank. Nah, we're gonna fuck you up because you suck
See
at
you
parrying,
later,
bro.
Dude, oh man, it was so annoying because I'm like, all right, I'm gonna do the thing, send him 1 HP. He's an A rank. Next turn, he's gonna be an S, gonna start doing damage. No, he's not. Down he goes. Like, for fuck's sake, leave him alone.
The heals, for the most part, are really poor.
The healing in the game is useless for the most part.
You needed, like, the only heal that was good was one of Minoko's abilities. Like, Lune's heal was like, LOL, this heals. And it's like, yeah, you might as well not waste your turn. You have a better chance auto-attacking.
Well, I mean, most of the freaking enemies, especially on Expert, and like the later bosses, they're just gonna one-shot you regardless. So,
yeah. Shields are far, far, far more valuable than healing.
It's just
shields needed nerfed. They needed to nerf the shit out of those, and they should have done something to them so they didn't last permanently because they're stupid. It's like, oh, you hit me once. I still got 8 more shields, bitch. Yeah, no, like I think the characters in general, like the abilities and everything they had, they're actually pretty unique. Gustav was probably still my favorite, even though you do basically jack shit with him for a while. But
and they bait you with the question mark.
Yeah, I know.
What was y'all's real thoughts on that? Like, were you thinking like, oh yeah, they're gonna unlock sooner or later?
Yeah, I was like,
I thought he's coming back, bro. I thought he's coming back. He was like, oh, we could do something special. It was like, nah, fuck you. And then it hurts me.
I've seen so many TikToks of like people when they're first playing through it, and they're like, just like, yeah, I'm not sure why his is just not opening up compared to everybody else's. And then it's like the slow music comes in, and that happens. I really cannot believe that they Game of Thrones us with his character that early on, and it's what makes it even worse is the game starts out by literally gamaging his ex-girlfriend and like it could have been his wife and could have been the mother of his children depending on the situation, and it's just like. That I was not prepared for because I just thought that they were going, they're talking about the gamage and everything like that. But then she just like, he said, I'm right here. And then, damn, we're just going to start out like that. And then he is also your main character to die. I just don't understand that. I
haven't seen that since Chrono Trigger, man.
Yeah, but even in Chrono Trigger, there's like so many other characters you can, get used to and things like because the roster and the time and stuff. But this just like,
and you can get Chrono back too. So
yeah,
can't get Gustav back.
Yeah, so yeah, all the characters were great. Sorry, go ahead, Kiwi.
I mean, it's good. It's good they did that. I mean,
I think it'd make you felt some type of way.
Well, I mean, if we're talking about endings, which I assume we'll talk to later, but I mean, yeah.
Yeah, all the characters were great. I basically stuck with Gustav. I did not understand CL either at all. Lune was a little bit easier to understand, but I never got her fully grasped. And I think she's supposedly one of the better characters, and she could become a nuke. But Mael carried me. So, Verso's great. One question, and I already asked Jordan this, but like, and it's kind of hard to say this or to ask the question, but who do you think had the better performance in terms of a character arc, just dialogue and everything like that, Verso or Gustav?
Right, Gustav. I don't think they explained Verso well enough, and they left it too much in mystery for a while, where he just doesn't grow complete until the extreme end.
Well, Kiwi, that's also who Verso's character is. He shields the truth from everybody. He doesn't tell you anything because he's a bastard. So honestly, Verso's the villain, dude. We can go over that in the story later.
Is he though? He's just tired, bro. He's
we can go over that in the story later.
True. Yeah. Regardless, I still can't believe that Charlie Cox is a voice for the main character, and this man dies in one act.
Him out.
Like, I don't know how he felt about that. I wish they would talk about that a little bit more and get his thoughts on that. But yeah, Ben Stars, this man is killing it. Okay, regardless of what he does, he's just killing it, and everything that he put into Verso is absolutely worth it. And just because his character lasts a lot longer than Gustav, I think he gets a slight edge for me. So, story, and I guess Minoko was great. I stuck with him as soon as I got him, but he ended up just being like a Final Fantasy Blue Mage type deal to me, and they don't ever feel super strong in a sense to me. They get cool ass abilities, yeah, and I think he can still be pretty cool, but he feels too much like a support character, and at the end game, you don't really need support characters because of the Picto system. So he's still an awesome character. Him and Verso have some of the best dialogue. It's great. And did y'all? I didn't know this too, but y'all know Minoko is the dog, right?
Yeah.
The family dog. I 100% did not know that.
Noko is the other dog.
Yes.
Yeah, they show it in a picture. That's how you realize it.
And unlock it in the manor and shit.
Yeah.
That's phenomenal. And I guess you could see the connection because he's like, ow, wow, all the time.
All right. Well, I didn't consider that, but yeah, I guess that makes sense.
It would be like Bow Wow or whatever, but that's just awesome. But yeah, the characters are phenomenal. All of them are absolutely amazingly done. So, shout out to SK. I really thought he was going to be a boss at the very beginning, just because the way he plays it off.
I was definitely expecting SK to be like a super boss or something. Because there's even a bit of dialogue where Minoko mentions he's like one of the most powerful creatures in the universe. So I was really expecting him to like just show up and be like, oh god. I mean, I didn't want to fight SK because I like SK. So
swim. Okay,
fuck Donkey for shit talking SK, by the way. Called SK gross, motherfucker. SK's the GOAT. I'm buying that plush when it comes out.
100%. I think Francois is awesome too.
Francois
Get off my lawn. Okay, in terms of who's your favorite boss then? Boss battle.
Simon.
Okay, well, exclude Simon because clearly he's the most epic. We know this.
Let me think.
I like the Paintress.
Paintress was a fun fight.
Paintress is really fucking good for the spectacle.
For the sheer cinematic aspect and how it looked and everything was neat.
I think Renoir's last fight was dope as shit when he turned into the big ass lion. I was like, what the shit is happening? Some of the moments was just awesome.
What was why did he like basically get a lion though? Like what was the point of that?
I don't know.
That's it's probably one of my issues with it. Is like where'd the lion come from? Like where is this explained at all? And then I don't know.
I think it's just one of his creations. Because Renoir is also a painter. So
yeah. Well, he paints death and all his shit like that. But yeah, the lion didn't make sense. He was just cool as shit. But it was just like, what? I think the duelist was
Man,
dope as hell.
that fight's fucking awesome. I don't know if you guys have played Dark Souls 3 at all, but like when here, hold on. I'll pull up a picture. But when that fight popped up, it instantly reminded of a fight from Dark Souls 3, which is this fucking guy. This fucking image sucks. Hold on. Here we go. I'll put it in the not a hidden channel thing. There you go. Boss named Pontiff. It's like it was just really cool to see it because Pontiff was a boss in Dark Souls 3 that completely kicked my fucking teeth in. Now that didn't happen with Duelist. I killed it on my second try, luckily. Still like had some pretty hard shit to parry. I just wound up doing a lot of damage and killing him. I think like design wise, honestly, I really like the Lampmaster. The Lampmaster is a very unique, interesting looking creature. Yeah. Again, not a hard boss, but just not for me anyway. It just looks really cool. Both of the Axons were fucking sick as well.
Yeah. No, there's some awesome bosses in this game. So story. I think there was a lot of twists and turns, and in a good way. But did you find like you were kind of? I was 100% hooked as soon as you leave the harbor.
Same.
But like as it went on, and this is one of the things that I talked about in the other episode, and it kind of makes sense. This one video I saw, this guy talking about it. It starts on such a high in terms of a story. It never like goes above that, but it also kind of maintains it. So, do you think that was a bad thing, or it's a good thing because it hooked you so quickly, and then it kind of remained the same?
I think it's definitely a good thing. Like from pretty much the start of the game onwards, I knew I wanted to know everything about this world and why these things are happening. Like I wanted to know everything and why. So that effect stayed from start until the end. And even now with other questions that I still have about the story, which we can get into in a moment. But yeah, I was hooked from the get-go, especially after the scene at the harbor when they first like get to land and that shit goes south so fast. Like what the fuck? Like the thing about it to me that really sold it to me is like I've seen stuff done like this in games before, but games and movies and whatever. But it's typically the characters are like stupid and they waddle into like an obvious death trap, and then it's like, oh well, that's dumb. That was not the case with this. They like if you watch the scene, they get to the harbor, they're all really cautious, they're getting off the boat real slow, making sure everybody gets off, and they stay as a group. And then that old dude shows up, and they're all squared up and ready to go. Like and they're like, all right, hold up, wait a minute, like and they're immediately suspicious, and that conveys the message to you that all of these expeditioners are like not idiots. Like these are seasoned, well-trained people who are ready to go up against whatever comes at them. The only issue is they were not fucking ready for what followed. Like they got absolutely fucking annihilated. Like and then you realize as well that was within minutes of hitting the shore. Like you heard stories of other expeditioners getting further, like in like little tidbits, like from like while you were exploring the first area, but your expedition gets smoked within seconds, and you're like, okay, well, fuck me, I guess. So, just the way that they showed that off, like a pretty like normal trope of like, characters being like killed and obliterated because of horrible shit happening, but without like the problem that a lot of the stuff faces where they just walk into obvious death traps in a stupid way. No, these were smart, well trained, ready to fight characters that just got completely outmatched because they didn't expect that. So I don't think they could have anticipated that whatsoever. So yeah, from that point forward, I was sold. So because of how well they conveyed that message, I was like, all right, this is gonna be a good one. So,
Bro, Kiwi.
Yeah, I think it's good. You want to hook people as fast as you can. I would say it didn't. Yeah, it didn't like the story after that really didn't like exceed everyone's expectations. It sort of just went around to it. I mean, it sort of did, but it didn't. The thing I probably didn't really like is, let's say, how the journals were handled. Like, if you had all these journals all over this place, well, it means some other expedition made it to your journal because they're farther than where you were. Like, even if they took a different path, someone would have seen it. So why wouldn't they be somewhat connected? I don't know. It's sort of like an information thing to me that I didn't like. But yeah.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah. I don't think there was a lot of lulls in the story, which is a great thing because of how high it started. So,
well, even the filler bits were done super well, like enough to where because the hook is so good, like that's constantly in your mind. But even during the funny scenes or like maybe not so serious ones or where characters are just talking or whatever, it's always in your mind of like, okay, well, the paintress is, still out there. We still have to figure out our way to it. But like, I don't know, man. Everything was just so well written and so well done. It was just hard to like find a dull moment for me. So,
oh yeah, I was just like fully engaged, ready to not necessarily ready to move on. Like I'm, tired of this, but I'm ready to see what is next. So,
yeah.
and that's a great feeling. So ending. There's two endings you could technically do. Either choosing, and it's a battle between Mael and Verso. You can choose who wins essentially. Which one did we choose, and which one do you think morally, in your own eyes, should have been the choice?
So the first time I beat the game, when it was my first time seeing all the cutscenes, I chose Mael, and from choosing her onward, I felt like I chose wrong, specifically because of like how Verso reacted. I felt like, oh boy. And then as the ending kind of unfolded a little bit more and more, and especially like right at the very end, like where it shows Verso at the piano and he's struggling to play, and then it snaps to Mael's face showing that her outside character is still like dying, basically. Like that is her fate. Like she will stay in this painted world until she eventually will fade out and die because you can't stay in this shit for that long. So I think I definitely felt like I chose wrong. And then when I watched Verso's ending, honestly, I don't really know if that one is much better because, like, there is nothing in this game that tells you that Lumiere and like the world with like the Nevrons in it is fake. It's not fake. These are real people. The Lumerians are real people in a very real world with real connections and food and all kinds of shit. So choosing Verso's ending, all those people are essentially obliterated. They're gone. That's it. Like the canvas is is erased and no more. So, like, I don't. It's a very difficult choice because, yes, on one hand, Mael could keep the world going and all these people get to live, but at the expense of what remains of Verso's soul, and like because the family can't move on from his death. Like it's like that never-ending cycle of grief that will now continue because you chose Mael, and she will keep that shit going until eventually you know what happens. She will die, and then it will continue to get worse because the family already lost their son. So, if I had to pick, if I had to choose, I think choosing Verso technically is probably the better ending because Mael is a paintress. She could go into her own canvas and perhaps repaint the world and bring the characters back, but who's to say it would be the same? Like, these are some of these questions that you don't really have answers to because we don't know quite enough about how the painters function. We have some idea of how, their canvas works and everything, but like, can you just copy the work over in your own canvas, or will it not be the same because the world is completely different, or like, who knows? So honestly, I think it's an extraordinarily tough decision, and I don't really know which one is better, to be honest with you. Like, the more I think about it, the harder the decision gets. Like, I thought I knew at first, but I really don't know. I really don't.
Kiwi?
Yeah, I picked my L2, and like I get the reasoning of, well, her mother, the same thing that she doing in her ending is what happened to her mother, basically having, Verso eat it, which then your family on the outside gets destroyed because the mother's gone, so now they're about to lose another lose their daughter, who's sort of a husk out there, but she's still alive. So then the father starts freaking out more, and he's probably gonna eat it. But but then they don't really talk about her sister at all. Like that, it's just like here she is, and then nothing, which is just fucking weird. Like you needed to push that more, but maybe that's like future content. Anyways, so like her dilemma of, well, she can either let her family go on the outside or let her family go on the inside. So it's like, to me, the choices are still, it's you pick this family or the other family, since Mael probably sees all the expeditioners in 33 as her family.
Yeah.
But then you have your actual family as like the painter family, which is, I don't know, it's one of those dilemmas where it just doesn't, you don't know which is right, and there's probably actually no right answer. But I googled Versus ending because I wasn't playing through that shit again.
You could have reloaded.
Yeah. Reloaded your
Either,
save.
well, I wasn't fighting
either.
through that shit. It's faster just to YouTube it. Anyways,
Yeah.
Versus ending, I mean, you see how much he's suffering through like Mael's side, where he just wants to go, which like the characters, like the young boy and the woman and like the curator and all that, was really neat. How it's all conveyed that it's the what's their name, Dol Santre, or I don't know what their last name is. That family,
Yeah.
Which like it's a good clue in, like, I was like, okay, like what's the point of these characters, and then eventually you figure out the young boy's Verso, which I didn't figure out till basically the very end because I'm stupid, but having like letting the Lumiere people all go, which like I can see them as they're fake, but I don't know if they're fake, because it seems like the way the painter's abilities are is they can basically bring things to actual life. Because like if Verso's soul's in that canvas, it's sort of like saying, I mean, I see it as he controls that world to an extent, or like he put part of his soul in there, which brought all that crap to life. Like, so you're still basically trying to kill people, or not, I won't say kill, but like let them go or sacrifice them.
Erase them, essentially.
Yeah.
Like erase their existence. So
I want to say like Verso's ending's right, but it's not. But Mael's isn't either, because she's basically sacrificing herself for that, like, so she's not a husk on the like basically a husk on the outside. But I wouldn't be able to pick one.
Not to mention keeping Verso's, that last piece of his soul alive, which is clearly in torment because he knows what's happening to his family on the outside.
Yeah, like, he's sort of saying, "Let me go."
Yeah, he wants to be let go so they can move on. Like that's what he wants, because it's obvious that everybody in the family is grieving hardcore, and you mentioned Clair, the sister. I think it's important to look at how the family is grieving. So the mother just completely dove into Verso's canvas and said, "Fuck the world. I want nothing to fuck my world. I want nothing to do with it. I'm going in here and I'm going to paint this version of Verso to make it so he never died, whatever." And then Alicia was sent in after to try to pull her out, but also got immersed in the world for the same reason. So they have their ways of grieving. Renoir, all he wants is just his family to come out of these paintings so they can move on properly. He's the one who is just like, please, I don't want to lose any more of my family, because obviously the whole family is torn apart because their son being killed in that fire. And then Clair I honestly think her character is far more interesting than we're led to believe, because I think the way she grieves is actually just going off and fighting the people known as the writers. So again, we know very little about. I think there's tidbits saying that they're the ones who started the fire in the mansion in an attempt to kill somebody in the family. Obviously, Verso saved Alicia and died in the process. We know that for sure. That's what happened. But I think there's hints that the writers are the ones who started the fire, because there's some mentions of them using awful shit in the past towards the family. There is obviously a very real war going on between the writers and the painters, which I think will be explored somewhere in the future. It was talked about just a little too much to just be written off as nothing. Will that be in the next game? Maybe. I don't know. I think it's clear that, like, because I mean, if you look at the the title of the game, Clair Obscur: Expedition 33, Clair Obscur is their Final Fantasy, basically. So I think their next game will be Clair Obscur what the fuck ever, So this could just, maybe it could be a trilogy, it could be, or it could be this could be the start of their new series. I have no idea. But that can be stuff to discuss for later. Anyway, I think it's important to look at how the family is struggling with grief, because Clair is shown to just be like very strong-willed and like kind of a bitch, to be honest. But I think it's just because that's her way of processing the grief of her brother being murdered, essentially. So, like, she went to war with the writers immediately after and has never come back, basically. Or if she does come back, it's like very brief stints. So,
no, my problem was it was just, my main problem with her is she abruptly appears and then she's gone. And I get the reason she's gone. Like, she's not like, I'm not going in that world to try and solve your problems for the family. You all have to do that yourselves, basically, and I'm gonna go do my own thing. I just think she needed to be a little more talked about earlier, because they just sort of throw you at her and then it's like, all right, peace. And then you don't hear about her, and then I guess you see the ending, but well, one of the endings. But I mean, yeah, they can do whatever they want. It's probably true that she'll probably reappear again, at least in some form. I just, if you do that, which ending's canon?
If they do something with the writers, it has to be happening at the exact same time, or like a prequel would be my guess.
Well, whatever they do, I mean, it's just the true question is which ending becomes canon.
All right, yeah.
Just because, well, even if it happens at the same time, well, you saw her there. But
that is the proper question. So
yeah, like it's just a big what if. I still think there should have been a third ending, but that's just me, because I hate those wishy-washy endings. Like, yeah, you feel bad either way, but I'm more of the I want the true ending kind of thing, where you're all happy in rainbows to an extent, but you don't get the impact then. It's just more of like a self-satisfaction.
True. Yeah, I don't know. Either one could be conveyed as like my hells could be conveyed in not in a bad way, but it viewed as like she's playing a little bit of God, controlling. Obviously, she wants Verso to live and she wants everyone back, but she is playing God in a sense of keeping him in a chain, in a sense. There. Oh, I dropped my phone.
Like basically hell for eternity for him, basically.
Yeah. And it's just like, bro, I'm tired. I want everybody else to move on, even if that means like it's time to erase everything. And I definitely, I guess it would come from in that moment, which one are you? Are you Mael or are you Verso? Because if you're Verso, you're 1,000%, and every single time you're choosing his ending of like, I'm tired, let's move on. There's been enough grief for just me alone that we need to move. We need to, and if Mael somehow makes it out of the canvas and she wants to start somewhere else, by all means, but you need to let me go. I died a long time ago. So, yeah, I think when I chose Miles, I was like, holy shit, this was probably not the right thing. it was, I think it was drawn out a little bit more, which made it felt like a better ending, but Verso's got you thinking also a little bit more. And I think having two endings was a great thing. So, in terms of franchise, they can, if they choose to stick with Clair Obscur and want to do spin-offs, or they can absolutely do this Final Fantasy thing where they just keep going on and on. I 100% want Clea to be explored because she seems like a badass character, and her fight was awesome too.
Her fight was good.
But yeah, I think they all grieve in a different way. So, and having a writer, I'm curious to see how they do the powers in a sense of the writers. So, because painting, I understand you literally paint something and it could become something. Writing, it's like you're giving just something emotion. So they would have to like draw it out. I don't know.
Yeah,
it seems a little bit more complicated than painting.
It'll probably be like a type of like word language where you can say it or do it out loud, and it's how you write.
Yeah. Or it could be a thing where it's like the writers and painters are like essentially like two sides of the same coin, where the painters, you paint their world and then you could enter their canvas, whereas the writers, they write in a book or something like that, and then you enter their world, and it's through their imagination that you see everything like unfold. You know what I mean? Because
Right.
it's like when you read a book, and your imagination can kind of like put scenes together. You know what I mean? And like what characters look like and sound like and yada yada yada. That is what I'm thinking the direction it's going to head in, personally, when it comes to like exploring stuff to do with the writers. So, like, I talked with this a little bit about Erica because she's finished the game now as well. I think I think one of their games, whether it's the next one or in the future or sometime, it will involve Clea, and I think we're going to. It could be a thing where she actually does enter writers' worlds in an attempt to like dismantle them. You know what I mean? Because like, how would you go after an artist? You would destroy their work because what does an artist care about more than anything? Their work. So like maybe that's why the painters tried to set the mansion on fire to burn down the canvases. Because what would the painters care about most? Probably those canvases. So like who knows? Like there's a million different theories. Like but that is a direction that I think it's going to go in. Is like at some point, I don't know if it'll be the second game, third game, or 15th game, who the hell knows? Like with their universe, the potential is kind of endless, like what they could do. I think at some point we will see a game with Clea, and actually we will learn more about the writers and how canvases work and how the writers like books work or notebooks or whatever they write in. So
yeah. Well, this episode is getting long, but the last thing I want to talk about, well, one quick thing. How would you would have preferred, and this is be a little bit of imagination type thing, do you think you would have felt all this if it was vice versa and it was a writing situation versus painting? Everybody was written into a book?
I think it probably would have been the same. Because, I mean, like I said, to me, it could be, it's just two sides of the same coin. Whereas, like, you're experiencing a world and characters that somebody has created. It's just two different mediums. One is painting, the other's writing. So,
yeah, that's fair. But last thing, obviously we talked about its amazing reviews and everything that we've loved, but we've definitely admitted it's not a perfect game. So, what are some of your nitpicks? And I'll start with Kiwi because we know he's got a list.
Yeah, I wish I had a list. If you give me, I would have made one. Some of the pictos are boring. Like, I know some can't be all like amazing, but you can go harder there. Like you're making an RPG customization. Let's bring it up a little bit. The skill system or the stats, fucking useless. Holy shit! Like, why have stats aside from being a literal stat stick? The weapons having a scaling, I think that was neat. But again, the stats didn't make any sense. They sort of really didn't have a purpose. I don't know. I don't want to bitch the whole time.
No,
No,
go ahead.
No, go on.
I agree about the skills or whatever, because at the beginning I'm thinking like an RPG. Yeah, they need some health, they need some defense, and then I guess I understand it. They probably were banking on you understanding the scaling system with whatever weapon you're using, but I don't know if it should have went to that extent where you only put in 3. However, it clearly lines up that way because if you hit 99, then you get 99 in 3 categories. So it seems like it was designed that way, which means they really want you to get to that end, in a sense, to explore all of their content, reaching Simon and things like that, which is great. But if someone who doesn't like to explore that much and they just wanted to go through the story, they wouldn't have needed all that, min-max stuff. So I get the scaling and the attributes, which, it was fun. Because you could get so many freaking recoats. It was ridiculous, and you could do it. That's a great thing, I think, not having to pay so much gold and shit like that to respec At any given point, it would take you maybe 5 minutes to farm a particular mob, and you could get so many you could play any build. And I do the Picto system. It can be ridiculous at times, but it also can be great because there are so many possibilities of builds. Because you can have a certain weapon, and it would depend on your Pictos. Because you can slap on all those Pictos, but some of them counteract each other in a sense. So there's depth there, but I don't know if it was customized correctly. So
Wait, could you teleport when you're out in the world?
I 100% think that should be a thing.
I can't
Yes,
believe you didn't
fast-
put that in. That was
Fast traveling should have been a thing for sure. Flying
have
is cool, but
I
definitely
didn't
need
have
fast travel.
flying, and I went back to like the beginning of the game to search for shit because I forgot something. I think I went to Gestural Village for something stupid.
Yeah.
And then I realized I had to go all the way back to the Paintress, and I couldn't fly, and I was like, bro, this sucks fucking ass.
Yeah. They want you to explore, obviously, the world that they've
Yeah,
created, but
I
get
mean,
the RPG, like,
you get
gotta have
halfway
that.
through the game, throwing goddamn fucking fast travel. Holy shit. And so
like
many games
SK,
do
give
that.
him another stone or something.
Oh, they didn't
I
use
agree with
Francois
that.
enough. Disappointed.
Oh my god.
Fucking disappointed. You mention him, and then he just fucks off. Like, he just sits in his cave sleeping. Like, get his ass up.
Well, he's
I do
also
like
breathing for Clea.
I do like his
care.
boss fight, by the way, when it says he's going to cast the strongest ice attack, and you're like, man, whatever, he's just a little turtle, it can't be that bad. And he just hits the character for like 11,000 damage when you have like maybe 800 HP at that point. You're like, okay, I'm just kidding. I was not aware of your game, Francois, my bad. I'll never talk shit again.
And then I'm sure anybody and everybody's, well, I don't know. I know Kiwi is going to mention this, but a mini map in the dungeons.
Oh yeah.
They have a
Don't-
clever way to point you in the right direction because of the lamps.
Nah, suck my ass. I don't give
But-
a about those lamps. I want to see where I'm walking. Half the time I went to the same spot like 15 times because I'm directionally challenged here. Like,
I
come on,
understand.
man.
I understand that.
Some of the map layouts are a little rough, to be honest. So
It's just like the mini maps would help so much. Or was there a map in there?
There's not
I
a
think
map
the
at all.
I think the only map in the game is the overworld map.
Like, how could you not put a
So-
map inside a dungeon? Like, it's like a dungeon world. It has a set layout. You could put a map in there. Holy crap! I get you don't want people to be like staring at the map, but shit, man, I couldn't find anything half the time. And sometimes the map can help you. It's like,
Yeah.
oh shit, did I miss a picto? Fuck if I know.
But I think most of them weren't very big. Like there are a couple that it'll take you a minute to get through if you're trying to explore everything. But for the most part, they do point you like, hey, just keep following where the Nevrons are and shit like that. You'll get to the end.
Did I find the sword boys?
But yeah, I think a mini map in the dungeons would be preferred. So
Like they could just make it so if you explore enough, like eventually, like you find it, like make it treat it like a Zelda dungeon map. You know what I mean? Where
Right,
you don't
yeah.
have a map at first, but then when
like a
you
treasure map type
you
deal.
you find it, and then boom, then it's like, all right, now I got my map. You know, and they could even put
kill the
Nevrons
boss
in the
in
way.
there.
Or you kill the boss. Yeah, if you find the boss, then it's like, all right, then you get the treasure map. So then your reward is you can go grab everything.
Yeah.
So
Well, there's also, I think, what do y'all think about the overworld being small and everything feeling big?
that's a very classic, like, you know, old school game trope. Like a lot of like Chrono Trigger did that, and some of the older Final Fantasies did that. So I thought it was cool. I just would like fast travel. So
Yeah, like until you had SK, I didn't like it. It just you went from like a scrunched down version to now you're in like a big world, and it just looked weird. It made the characters look weird because everything was huge for the purpose of SK being huge and keeping that size comparison between the Expeditioners and SK. But like, why is everything out in the world fucking massive when I've already seen all of them up close and they're not that massive, I guess, or I guess they are, or some of them are. I don't know. It just looked weird.
True. Any other things that you would preferred or maybe would have helped the game in general, the combat, the story?
Gustav not dying.
Well, you know, play 32 more times.
No, I think overall it was pretty good. The fact the game was $50 and you basically got a full finished game with everything that was really good, really polished. Yes, some things were missed, but you know, it's not like it ruined anything. It was more just like an inconvenience. Better outfits though, thank you. No
There's
more
a
mimes.
thousand.
I don't
Bro,
like the
did you not get Minoko's suit?
Oh, I did. I have his suit.
That's his best outfit. He's in that 24/7 for me.
Y'all
I
didn't go
love
full bald, bro?
I did go get everyone's bald thing. I do have it in my file. It's ridiculous.
Oh, well, we didn't mention it, but the music in this game is phenomenal, and the amount of music that's in this game needs to be studied and needs to be placed in every single game. Like, it's
I've had
ridiculous.
the music on repeat. It's so good.
Yes. I've let Oliver listen to it. You know, we jam out to Lumiere. Great.
Hell yeah, dude.
Yeah. It's astonishing for some of the stuff that's come out for this game that they literally found some of the people on Reddit. They found the composer on literal SoundCloud. Like, it's amazing. But yeah, this little bit, those little things I think would have turned this game, if it came out like that, into like generational.
I only have one criticism, but it's a little biased, like in regards to the combat. Like, but besides like the other like little like mini things that we mentioned, like a map and you know some quality of life stuff with the sorting, I think they got the balancing wrong. But I'm quoting a reviewer that I watched. I forgot his name. They got the balancing wrong, but they got it wrong in the fact that the player is strong, which if you're going to get balancing wrong, that is the better angle to go for, because if you go the other way, then you've got a really big problem where people can't play your fucking game because shit's too hard. For me, personally, I would have liked a critical difficulty for the game where some particular pictos are disabled, like the roulette picto. I think the roulette picto is like it honestly ruins the fucking game, like, because when it procs and you use multi-hit abilities and all 6 of those goddamn hits proc 200%, you will wipe the fucking floor with whatever you're fighting. Even some of the super bosses, they will get fucking obliterated. It's nuts. So I like, the devs said that they wanted people to make broken builds, and I don't think there's anything wrong with like making broken builds and using your mind and like, okay, I made this, I put this shit together and I make broken cool shit. And I think there's nothing wrong with that. My only issue is that even when you go into New Game Plus, the game is stupid easy. Like, the only thing that gives me trouble in New Game Plus runs is like is the high end content, like the pinnacle and the super bosses. Like, and that's only because I'm not using the Giga OP shit, like Mael's Stenthal or her Gamage thing. Like, you could easily make builds just one-shot the final bosses and the super bosses, but to me, it's not fun. Like, I want to get my ass kicked. So, I would like for them, if they want to keep the system that they have going forward, I don't have an issue with it, but I would like for them to make a difficulty that it doesn't have to be available from the get-go, like the critical difficulty, but after you beat it, you can then New Game Plus, it will carry over your file into that critical difficulty, and then everything is scaled up exponentially. Shit hits way fucking harder, has way more fucking health. There could even be like a couple of extra bosses. like bosses have new abilities, shit like that. I think something like that would be really cool. Now, again, this is for me personally because I'm a glutton for getting my fucking ass kicked. That's what I like doing in games.
A masochist, calm down over there.
But I just think like I don't think that they should have like regardless of whether they do that or not. I don't think Pictos like roulette should exist. I think that it's just you could just easily break the fucking game when it comes to Pictos that are just so RNG heavy. Like, yeah, it's got the low end where it can proc for half of the damage, but honestly, I feel like it's like a 10% chance to get the 50% damage proc and like a fucking 65% chance to get the 200% damage proc. Because I'm gonna tell you now, I use that fucking Picto on everything except for like my parry only run I'm trying to do on Simon, and that 200% thing procs all the time. And the 10% and the 100% one or 50% one procs like never. So, like
they need you to scale better going up.
Yes, the higher
instantly broken.
The higher you go up in New Game Plus, the more health shit should get. Like a similar way to Dark Souls and Elden Ring. The higher you go up in NG Plus, it doesn't matter how much like HP and stats you have. Eventually, shit gets a lot of health and hits really, really hard to the point where like, okay, well, like eventually it caps. Like in most Dark Souls games, it caps at New Game Plus 7. Like it doesn't. The values don't go higher than that. Where you could have all your stats at like 99, and you know the boss's HP is ridiculous, your HP is ridiculous, but whatever. Like it could have a cap, but I would just like a bit better scaling, and for the masochist like me, I would like a critical difficulty that's built for like those broken builds where it's like, okay, yeah, you can have your broken build. Now here's some busted ass monsters that are going to kick your fucking teeth in if you don't have like, you know, the proper build set up. So, but that's no slight against the game whatsoever. But I will say there are some Pictos that I don't think should exist, and that roulette one is one of them. I think like it's just dumb.
It needed to be a damage range, not 2 choices.
Yeah.
3 choices. And I know, Jordan, you like being whipped. I got it. You whipped like a pig. That's why you enjoy your masochist games.
Yes. I don't really know if I have any other like specific gripes that I can think of off the top of my head. Like, the game didn't really get like almost anything wrong. Like, besides, you know, like their menus are kind of an atrocity, but other than that, I don't know. I don't really. That game it's fucking great. So that's really all I have to say. Give me a critical difficulty and kick my ass. That's all I want.
I think you pitch the weapon scaling and just have the characters scale though.
Yeah, I could agree with that.
You pick the weapons for what their traits are. You don't pick them for the scaling. At least how I look at it in my head. Like, yeah, the scaling's there and it does more damage, and I get that and all, but it flows better with the character scaling. All right, that's all I got.
That's all he's got, guys. You've heard it here. Regardless, this game's phenomenal. Please go play it. If we, for the love of Abraham Lincoln, somehow could get Donkey to play this, I think he would enjoy it.
I think it's happening.
What did y'all? Last question. How you beat the game and everything like that? I know, Kiwi, you're not going to do whatever, but what did you time wise? What was it when you say quit, finish, whatever?
Oh, I'm at like 100 hours in the game, but I've been doing like extra shit, like, you know, trying to do like parry only runs of Simon. But I think like once I was like, oh, actually, wait, I have one more fucking nitpick. This bitch ass fucking achievements for the journals and the motherfucking records, dude. Make that shit fucking carry over for New Game Plus, and don't fucking put records behind specific cutscenes. Oh my fucking god! If I had to do New Game Plus twice because there's a bastard record that's locked behind a specific cutscene. I was so mad. Like, and I know people have been bitching about that journal that's behind that gate in Old Lumiere, you cannot get that fucking journal unless you talk to the NPC at the beginning of the fucking game to get that old key.
The 33 times thing.
No, not that. Like in the beginning of the game when you're playing as Gustav and Lumiere, and like before you go to the harbor, and you can get like the coins for like doing like the question guy and then fighting Mael, and then I forgot how you get the other one. You can turn those coins in for things, and one of those coins you turn in to that lady, and you get an old key. That old key is used to unlock a specific gate in Old Lumiere to get a journal. If you don't do that, you cannot get that journal. Now, normally, in most games, that wouldn't be a problem because it would just say like, oh, well, you didn't get this journal on this run, just do it on New Game Plus and then you're fine. No, because in this fucking game, when you fucking go into New Game Plus, it resets all the goddamn journals and all the goddamn music, so you have to make sure that you get all the fucking journals and all the fucking music when you go through the game again. That irked me a little bit. Just please make it so when I get something, it just goes into like a collection tab and it just checks it off that I got it no matter what my playthrough is. Please. Does that make me mad?
It's just a new dev team. That's all that is.
Like, I'm not knocking point software because I have to play the game more, and I love the fucking game, so it's fine. But it made me mad. I was playing with a frowny face. All right.
A lot of swearing too.
Yeah, a lot of swearing.
Son of a bitch.
I was quite upset with all that. But I platinum 90 hours. Oh
I think it was like
100% of the game.
Why don't you suck my ass? You got 100%? No.
I think it was like 80 something hours by the time I got maybe 80 or 90 because again I had to play through the fucking game a lot to get all the stupid journals and shit. I think it was like 80 or 90 hours for me to have like all the achievements and like all the content done. So
yeah, which is
like
for
that.
$50 or Game Pass. That's awesome.
Oh, it's a steal.
30.
Yeah, I think if you just do the story, I still think it's like anywhere from like 30 to 35 hours, which is still like for such a big and fun game to play. I think that's more than enough. So
100%. Well, we could. I mean, honestly, I 100% will keep talking about this game and giving it glows, but we can end it here.
No more questions.
No more questions. I got one more question.
Use a bitch.
True. Kiwi's a bitch. I wonder what are you gonna play next, Kiwi? What are you gonna do? Alice falling with me?
No, that's never happened.
I guess Night Rain. We maybe do an episode of Night Rain when I know y'all have already finished it technically, but once I get a few more bosses deep, we could do a episode. Anyways, play this game, Clair Obscur Expedition 33. I hope Sandfall takes this and runs with it in a good way, takes feedback and apply it to however they want to, whether it's a new game entirely or they continue this franchise. So any closing thoughts?
Give me Gustav back.
32 times. Jordan?
No, I mean just you know what? Here, I will close it out with the review that I wrote for the game on Steam. I said it's very short. I said this game is this generation's Final Fantasy X. I say 10 because it's my favorite Final Fantasy. You could apply the logic to any of them. It has amazing story, incredible music, insanely fun combat, astounding build potential, and I could gush about it for hours, but it can be simply stated the easiest 10 of 10 I've ever given, and most certainly Game of the Year. An absolute wondrous masterpiece. Do not miss out on this one. That is what I wrote on Steam, and that sums up how I feel about it.
So would you be a painter or would you be a writer?
Painter. Can't write worth the shit.
True.
Can't paint worth the shit either, but at least I got pretty colors to look at.
Yeah. Chat GPT, bro. Phenomenal game. We'll see you next time. Remember, you can continue to believe us.
If you don't.
Gustav.